my Area 51 line. You're on the air. Hello.
Welcome to the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast, where what you've known as reality will be shattered by the truth. Krista and Brandy will lift the veil from your eyes, revealing what has either been hidden or denied you for eons.
Hey, happy freaking Thursday, Brandy.
Happy freaking Thursday.
I got to get rid of the chat, though, because it's going up in your face.
Oh.
I tried it. I don't like it. Yeah.
It's good when you got like 3 people and it's not hitting anybody, but other than that, no.
Yeah, it was going right up in your face, so yeah. I thought I would move it.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. How are you?
I'm okay, I think. You know, doing stupid stuff at work and hurt my finger.
Yeah.
So yeah, got my finger hurt. And yeah. Then I worked extra long hours today, and believe it or not, I just got home. Like, we had a meeting before this, and I got home just about an hour before that. So when I got home, I got stuff to do and blah blah blah, and it's been a busy day. Busy day.
Sounds like it. I worked today too, and then went and you know I told you about that car and stuff. So yeah. Then I'm leaving tomorrow for town. So out of town. So anyway.
Yay. Vacation time.
Yep. Sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready. I am ready. Except at work, like I had to get caught up because I'm not behind. However, being gone for over a week, Yeah.
You're going to be.
Yes. So anyway, I had to prepare everybody. You know how that is.
Well, that's what you got to do.
Yep, that's what I had to do. So, and that's what I done. So anyway, we got a good show tonight, guys. We have Mr. Bryan Bowden. He's a friend of ours, and he's been on here, I don't know, a gazillion times. I have no idea how many times now.
Gazillion.
Yeah.
A gazillion.
So, and Bryan can talk anything. So tonight we're going to talk some pale crawlers and skinwalkers because Brandy, we're going to talk about what Brandy saw last Saturday.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to waste more time. I'm going to go ahead and bring Bryan up. Hey there.
Hello. Thank you for having me back on.
Absolutely. You know, it's an open invitation anytime for you.
Yep. And I'm going to have you in 2 weeks. I'm going to be on, Brent's coming on next week, next Wednesday for the whatever. And then I'm going on his. So it's going to be 4 hours or 5 hours of paranormal. Yep. It's like the Jerry Lewis telethon.
Right. And Brent's great too. He's a great guy also. Yeah. So yeah.
It works out great. He asked me on and then we kind of just throw me some dates. And then I said, okay, whatever. Let's just do I like to, sometimes you double and you can continue on to the next one, end one, go into the other one. So it looks, yes, mother-in-laws do count as crawlers or skinwalkers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Depends on who she is, but yeah.
That's right.
There's some nice ones. I know that, but yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So anyway, we're gonna have a good time at our conference because you are coming to it also.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time, and everybody that's out there, you all have heard about Texas Secret Party, and that will be on the Thursday night beforehand. So come on out to Big River Ranch, and we're gonna have a good time.
I heard the code is the stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. That's the code. or do you have to bring the Buc-ee's, red cup?
Or you got to wear some kind of Buc-ee's something.
Love Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
There you go. My kid has Buc-ee's shorts.
Yeah, you don't understand. It's the greatest thing in the world. I mean, geniuses. It's the only place you go in there and go, I need a cutting board in the state of Florida. That's what I need right now. A cutting board in the state of Florida. They have such really, really great stuff. Everybody's really nice. And I got to be honest, they pay really good money, folks. So
Yes,
they're
they
building
do.
up one near me, and I'm like, I'm gonna probably go apply for something and cut brisket or whatever. I don't care.
There you go. There
I'm going to
you
be a
go.
brisket cutter.
Yeah, I'll just get paid in Bucky bucks.
There you go. Bucky Bucks.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So yeah, we Brandy, you want to talk a little bit about last weekend where we started out, what all we did? And then
okay.
what
So
gave us
we
the idea for this show.
right. So we were at Missouri State Penitentiary, as most of you know. We've talked about going there, and that place is called the bloodiest 47 acres in America,
Mm-hmm.
and it housed some of the worst of the worst.
Yep.
And I can't even describe the living conditions as we walked through this on our beginning tour. And I'm like, there's absolutely no way I couldn't have lived like this. And
No.
there was one particular building that it looked like that maybe 2 people could fit in there and live okay. But they were talking about they were putting them in there 8 to 12 people per cell.
Yep. And that was back in the 1800s.
Yes.
Yep.
So the whole place has a vibe to it because it did have a gas chamber, and many people were done away with through the gas chamber, and I think it was the last execution that was done by lethal injection. I think it was the very last one.
Yep.
So I mean this place was very I don't know. It was charged. That's all I could say. It was very charged. And we had a rainstorm earlier in the day that was pretty brutal. And then the wind had kicked up. So there was a lot of natural energy that was just coursing through these buildings as it was when we got going. So we didn't stand a chance, everyone. We didn't stand a chance.
So
not one bit.
Not at all. And kind of to explain to people kind of how it went. We were there with our team, Haunted Soulz, and we were all split up in different locations. So we had 100 attendees. However, the place is huge, so it held 100 attendees. But that's why we were split up, so we could each attendee. We had 5 different groups, so everybody would go to we split it up, and so we had 5 different rounds of 30 minutes. So like people would go to Brandy, and then a different group would come to me, and so Brandy was doing. Oh, there's Danny. I'm going to go ahead and bring Danny up real quick.
Sure.
She was there with us. Hey, Danny, how are you? Can you hear me?
Uh-oh.
It may take a minute
Can't
because
hear you.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Hi, Danny. We were just talking about how we started off in Missouri State Penitentiary and exactly what we were doing, and Krista was explaining that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So everybody was broke up into groups, and Brandy, you were doing EVPs and senses.
EVPs
correct?
and senses, yes.
Yes, I was doing teaching pendulums and dowsing rods.
Sorry,
And
I don't
Danny,
have the greatest. Oh, hold on a second.
Danny, what were you doing? She must not have good service.
I think she's changed it. I think they
She's
were
changed the
doing the
location.
Estes method.
Oh, that's
Okay.
fun. That
Yes.
could be very fun.
Yes. So they broke us all up into
There we go.
groups, and so
Sorry, I
Um,
wasn't getting the greatest connection here.
no, you're good. Are you were you doing the Estes method at MSP? Oh, we lost her. We'll just leave
Oh,
her.
she'll sit back down and come back in. I think
Yeah.
she was doing the Estes method with Maddie.
Yeah. So during one of Brandy's groups, I'll let her take over from here.
Well, during one of my groups, with all of my groups, we talked about EVPs and yeah, everybody likes electronics, and that is one of my favorite things for to use while I investigate is recorders, and that's great and all. But I decided with this one, because we were talking about senses, which is using your body and all this kind of stuff, and I decided to use sound as my senses. and I used singing bowl.
Oh my God, the best. Keep going.
And with tuning forks, I also use tuning forks. So the thing is that we went through and we did the whole tuning forks with everybody, and then I did the singing bowl, and I showed them, how to use it. What is it doing? It's charging the air, it's charging your soul, it's charging you basically. So then I would take one poor soul and take them down to the end and put them in a chair. And then I'd wind up the singing bowl and I just get it humming. And, and then I just walk away from them. And then we'd all go back and stand back and watch. Well, what I didn't know when we first started this is, I knew I was going to be down in the basement where they had cells, but I did not know past this gate that this is where they kept the criminally insane.
Oh, a treat too.
Well, and also back up too, because also where you were in that building, they do not allow whistling.
Yeah, but I was getting to that point.
All right, go ahead.
I was getting to this point. So, and that was one of the things is they do not allow whistling in the building. And I knew that. So I'm like, well, I can bring my bowl. What are they going to do? I'm not whistling. I don't know. I'm not whistling. I'm just going to make some noise. So I started doing this bowl, and it was the second person that I put down in this chair, and it was a male, and he was sitting down there, and we were watching. Now, the way the moon was shining in, it wasn't super bright. It was kind of cloudy, but we could see where he was sitting. And under his feet, we saw this thing come out of a cell that did not resemble a human body. It resembled something more of a snake kind of creature. And what it was doing is it was slithering in between his legs and underneath his chair. And then it would stop and it'd move the other way. And it kept doing that forever. And we're all sitting there talking. I think there were 17 in that class. And we're all sitting there just watching it because I had never seen anything like that in my life.
Mm-hmm. So,
it was like,
yeah.
Crawling.
So it was doing it to Jay, correct?
I think it was, yes.
Yes. So Jay is a team member also. And then here's Danny. She's back again. Hopefully. Maybe she's
I
not.
don't have the greatest reception here on base.
You're good. You're good.
That's okay.
No problem. You sound good.
Yeah.
You're looking good, so you're good. Why don't they allow you to whistle? What is the reason behind it? Because that's actually very important.
Yes.
Because that's what calls this thing out.
Yep.
Yeah.
The snaky thing.
The whistle.
Or whatever.
It's almost like a cat call.
Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and Paul says Kevin was there too. He saw the same thing. So, yeah, I mean, it was seen by multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the person that was sitting there and this thing's going through their legs, did they have any sensation associated? Did they feel like their legs were being wrapped or touched or anything to that effect?
He said that he could feel something, but when he would say, well, it's off to my right or it's off to my left, that is exactly where it was moving.
Yeah.
And it was very low to the ground. And you could just see it. Now, like I said, it looked like it was just like crawling around him. And it was.
Was it a slither, like a snake, or was it like a giant bug that crawled?
It was more like a snake. It floated. I want to say that. It was more like a snake, but yet not.
Right. I mean, what's the potential that individuals in that part of the building practice Satanism? Because
they could have.
Serpents are really big with that, and that's a connection to that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but also
very concerned about we do not do any type of Ouija or any type of this stuff.
Yeah,
if we catch you, you're out. I was like, they are no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't play with Ouijas. I do have a voice
who knows?
generator.
I mean, that place has been there for so long. I guarantee there have been some group somewhere at some point that had actually done that stuff.
Yeah, conjuring in there.
Mm-hmm.
That could once it comes out, it's not it's hard to get back in.
That was down there where Death Row was too. I don't know if Brandy mentioned that or not, but that's where
Mhm.
Death Row was. And,
Well,
so it was.
But the particular area was for the criminally insane. That's why they were blocked off by another gate.
right.
Mhm.
Okay,
And-
so I got to thinking about this because I was asked the question hey, did you think somebody conjured that in there, or did somebody bring it with them? I said probably one of the prisoners probably did it and not even realizing, because we always have this discussion about people who they have these heinous crimes. They do these heinous crimes, and what possesses them if they are not really possessed when this happens, even if temporarily. But this thing could have come in with one of them.
100%. I mean, when there's an old, I don't know if it's a wives' tale, but in the past, a lot of people that, like psychiatrists or psychologists, anybody that had like they were insane, not well, had issues mentally, was the first thing they did was they try to exercise them, because it's like they have a demon or something like inside them. Some of these, I don't deal with demons, and I really don't deal with demons or that type of stuff. But way above my pay grade. But some of these do have tentacles, and unbeknownst to the person, they may have been under control, and that, like a Son of Sam type of thing, the dog made me do it. And you're talking about the 1800s, a lot of dark magic back then. A lot of dark magic, and considering what they did, and to be criminally insane, I mean, all bets are off. You can get anything at that point.
Yeah.
It does make for interesting. We've done Letchworth Village in New York, which is 28,000 square acres of facility. It's not a prison, but it's for the mentally frail, disfigured, bastard children, whatever it was. And we've gotten some interesting EVPs, so that if you had someone who was slow, I don't want to say the R word, but that would be classified as R, whatever, you can hear it. There's certain standards they all, hi, it's the way they act. You can hear it on the EVP, and it's kind of cool. It's like right here, and you don't realize it until after the fact. That's why the Estes method is great, because it's almost real time. So you're getting, it really does bring it. You can ask questions. Someone asks the questions, and you get the answers. That's when it gets cooler to do. But wow. So did this happen for all these people? Had the snake experience, or
they all saw it? Yeah.
Just the one group. Just the one group saw it. Now, with another group, that we were doing EVPs. I was switching it up. We were doing EVPs, and I always talk about how you need to have normal conversations. The normal. Are you dead? Do you know you're dead? What's your name? Are you male or female? I mean, those kind of questions get boring, especially in a bigger location like that. They hear that all the time. It's like they're like, whatever, people, just whatever. They want to have a conversation as if they were still living and breathing. So, one of my favorite ones to do is cookies. Most people have a sweet tooth, maybe a little one, but they've got one. So we went around and we did what's your favorite cookie? And I said, I don't even care if you say somebody else's cookie. What is your favorite cookie? And so I went around and I had the recorder running, and I'm going through, and then one woman, she says, sugar cookie. And then all of a sudden we heard this man. We didn't even hear it. It was a man screaming, which I had caught on the EVP. Now, that is another thing that people say that they hear in this location, because they just call him the screaming man. And I definitely caught him on tape, the screaming man. I was like, this is in the same location, same spot. And Danny can tell you, because they were doing the Estes method above me. They were on the floor above me. and they couldn't hear us down there. That everybody was seeing stuff down there, that everybody was quiet. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of talking going on. There was nothing going on. Everybody was perfectly silent. But when I got the singing bowls going, that's when Danny could hear me.
Oh, yeah.
So I have a question. So can you describe this crawler more so? Did it have legs? Did it look spider-like? Was it like crawling? Oh, thank you, Bryan.
Thank you, Bryan.
That's why I was looking down. It's my pleasure. I always owe you,
We appreciate you. You're one of us, man. You're good.
I know, but I do it for all you guys. I mean, like.
Well, we appreciate that.
Okay.
I was on Donny's show the other night, and that was a little freak fest, but whatever. But, yeah.
Sure.
My pleasure.
So let me try to explain it a little better. It did not resemble a snake. It didn't, but it was elongated like a, how can I say it? It was a black mass, but it wasn't, it was wispy. When it moved, you could see like little wispies. So being in the dark and being back from it, because we were watching this thing move from a little bit of a distance, because we wanted to give them their space and see what was going to happen. But this thing was moving with ease, being that close to the floor.
It like glided.
It glided a little bit, but it floated, glided, but it would stop as if it were changing directions. Like it would like sit up just a hair and then it'd stop and then move around a different direction. But it was swirling around his feet, and he had a bag that he had set off to the side, and it was going around that too. So I wasn't sure about what exactly I was looking at, because it was blacker than black.
Do you ladies employ or use Geiger counters on your every investigation, or have them available? And I just don't know if you use those. Tri-field meters usually everybody has, but
not Geiger.
Well, it's very interesting. They're inexpensive ones. I'll send you guys links to them. There's when portals open and things interdimensionally come in and out, and they create a space or a portal energy. A lot of times they leave a radioactive signature, and the Geiger counter will pick it up. And when I do investigations of places like this, I go around with, you do the baselines, you're walking around 16, 4, whatever. But I also have the Geiger counter. And if it doesn't budge, it's basic radiation that's around you all the time. We have that experience when you do cryptids. Cryptids, like, I believe they can go interdimensional. It's an innate ability. And they create portals and whatever. And there's a lot of reports of radioactive, like a Geiger counter would off the chart.
Yeah, well, Frankie or I'm not sure, Frankie or Dan, who's under the Haunted Souls, but they just said we do have Geigers.
Okay. That would have been interesting, because I think maybe you had something that was interdimensional, we don't know, that may have come in as well, not necessarily spiritual.
Right.
And you may have brought in, because there's a lot of these dark, like the Black Eyed Kids, the Shadow Man. They thrive on that energy, that fear. Right. Where else do you have fear but a prison? So now you have somebody that's get that little fear going with the ghost hunt. They don't understand, they're there for the joy as well. It's like the roller coaster people. And that creates like a food source for them. So they may, that person may have been, whether they admitted to it or not, nervous, which created the environment like, oh, I'm going to go for my, Golden Corral buffet right now.
So
that's what I'm saying.
So you mentioned the alien, and before we actually started and people were sitting, didn't one of the ladies there mention that somebody had saw an alien, that they've talked about, that there was? Okay, Danny's shaking her head. Yes, she knows.
Yeah,
what
they
I'm
saw
talking
like
about.
a UFO that happened at some point many years ago.
Yeah.
And they've been seeing some really weird, strange things nowadays. In like the last 10 years, it's really ramped up more.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if, I've never been to the location, but I'm wondering, I have to go look it up. what kind of sightings have been there and when they started ramping up, because I think there's a ley line there that's also contributing to it, which makes it great for you guys to do these tours. And it ramps up that energy. You had the storm that was there. Very interesting. You had the storm, then the winds kicked up. And if you're in a craft and you have a storm, it may not be look like electric, but that's a lot of different
Electric static.
in the air. That could have screwed something up with the craft, or they could be attracted to it. I'm not saying it's aliens, but there is a possibility that you could have had something coming from multiple dimensions. And sometimes some of these extraterrestrials can straddle our dimension and their dimension. So they kind of look like they're here, and they kind of give you, it's really weird. It's like that, the TV, the glitch. Sometimes they look like they glitch, and that glitching could be the wisp of them, like kind of moving and then coming back in because they're like, who's this? And checking them out. Just an idea. But I wasn't there, but I mean, that would have been really cool to see, actually.
So do you believe that, like, pale crawlers, when, because I've heard people talk about them, do you believe that they possibly are all interdimensional, extraterrestrials, or do you think they're maybe on the demonic side of things too?
No, I feel like you're talking about the Friend Zone Nightcrawler, like the 2 legs and, the weird thing that's there. That's really interesting. I think that, the phrase abracadabra. Do you know what that means?
No.
Okay, so I create what I speak. It's Aramaic.
Okay.
So when they used to go abracadabra, that is Aramaic. And what we don't realize is that when we speak, we are kind of sending energy into the ether, no matter where it is. And sometimes these, like the Slender Man, if you start talking about it and you start throwing it out there, I think they're called totems or something, they can come to fruition.
Right.
So I think somebody saw something weird. They keep describing it, but I think it's a separate entity. That is a really buggy one. And then you get those 2-legged things with like the happy face, like it's like SpongeBob only, whatever. Yeah. Versus, let's say, what are the oh god, they look like Skinwalkers. They're the rakes.
Yes.
The big white ones, and they have the long. They could be an adaptation of that or another being of that. I think a lot of this stuff is actually interdimensional, and I think a lot of it has come to our world, because how close is there a university near the prison? Like
pretty close.
There is, yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I think within like a couple blocks.
Ooh, that's great, because they have a collider there. They have a particle collider in the university. All universities have particle colliders. And this is where the Mandela Effect started. It started in Illinois at Fermlab, one of the largest colliders, if not the largest at the time. They ramped it up really quick, but shut it down just as fast. Something happened. No one knows what it is, and they shut it down. At the same time that happened, this Fiona Broom, I think her last name is, she's a paranormal investigator, coined the Mandela Effect because she thought he was dead.
Right.
So what I always propose is that if you have the Mandela Effect, and we're going to use 2 separate things. Cigarettes, folks. Don't smoke. So this is our timeline, and this is timeline right next to us.
Right.
And there's another timeline. When you create this explosion, boom, it fractures this and this. But when you stop it and it kind of comes back together, what you get is you get half of each, right? So this is where we remember the Fruit of the Loom guys and Luke, I'm your father. Right. And on the other end, but we get capped off on this end from the other timeline where they never had it. The fruit, that's where we are now. Mandela's alive. There's no cornucopia, blah, blah, blah. Now, on the reverse of that, on the other timeline, they're like, when the hell did we get a cornucopia? They're seeing the reverse of it. But like anything else in life, when you try to, who's broken something that mom had? Like a vase or a vase or
we all have.
Okay. Like, oh my God, what happened to my father's coffee cup, right? So you glue it back together again, but you see the cracks that are in it? It'll never be perfect. And I think what happens is, even though the timelines grow back, we're somehow meshed, and these beings are like, what's that crack? And they crawl through it, and that's how they get access here. And it always happens. Black-eyed kids, Mothman, flying humanoids, shadow people. If you look at the correlation, because I've done it, wherever there's a university that had a collider, you always have those things.
Interesting.
And if you have a prison, like I said, what do these creatures love? They feed off like Monster Inc., the fear, the adrenaline. And like the prison probably still has enough adrenaline and energy and resources in the walls, in the metal, in everybody that comes there wants to be scared. And they're like, this buffet is great.
Now, I have a question on top of that. So pretty much the prison is decaying. It's falling down. They're starting to tear stuff down, things like that. Can that really like ramp it up as well? And cause more of like a fracturing or openings or some type of rifts to let more things come through?
No, you know what it is? Like, how many, Brandy, Krista, and Danny, how many times you've been on an investigation? Someone has a problem in their house. Like, oh my God, these kids are seeing things. Well, what'd you do? Well, we moved in 6 months ago and we started re-renovating the kitchen. Guess what? The original owner that was there, that died there, doesn't want you renovating his kitchen. So when you have a fracture and when things decay, for some people, this sounds really weird, but it's the closest thing to home they've ever experienced, or family. Bizarre, but it's true. Like, there's some people that commit crimes when they get out of prison because it's better in prison. They know how to. So when you start remodeling it or things fracture, the energy of that breaking, they get upset, and then their spirit, they're in between the ether, that brings in energy. So it all does have an effect on it. That's why it affects the land too, but that's a different,
Yeah. So Danny had a little experience. Do you want to talk about it?
Well, what's funny is everyone now is, kind of doing their own investigations. And we were in the same building of D3, and me and Maddie were in the very upstairs where general population is. And we're standing in the dark, and we're sitting in the area where most of the guards would, be able to kind of like patrol around like the inner area of the prison. And there's only, I think, like maybe 3 other people in the building, and they're both on opposite sides. So it's just me and her sitting there. And all of a sudden we hear what sounds like keys jingling. And I'm like, I kind of hear that. And I happen to kind of look up. I go, it sounds like a guard walking around with keys jingling. Right as I said that, all of a sudden, I feel what feels like someone took their hand down my back, reaching for my handcuffs. Because I had my gun and my handcuffs sitting in the exact spots, and it literally felt like someone had reached towards where my handcuffs were to pull them out.
How quick did you go? How quick did you go back to go grab that? Because
instantly, I reached back there real quick and turned, thinking that someone was behind me. But
so was that in D3, Danny?
Yeah.
Was that in D3? Okay.
Yes, that was in the D3 building, but it was in the upstairs where general population was.
Right. Yeah, just above it.
Just above it, yeah. I mean, it was the craziest feeling.
Yeah.
You're going to have, I know people that are former patrol officers, corrections.
Yes.
And some of this, 2 of them were into the paranormal and whatever. And he goes, some of them, they come back and that they kind of pay me a visit. But, 2 of the guys that I know that get visited, it's almost like you were good to me in there. And, I'm not here to, it's kind of like a thank you, maybe whatever. There's one guy who was not so nice. And he has stuff like, knocked off on the shelf every once in a while. He knows what it happens. But I know that's the first instinct. We have a lot of, in my fraternal group, we have a lot of state troopers and law enforcement, and you don't go anywhere near their belt or their gun. That is
Right.
the surest way to get yourself
To find
killed.
Get unalive. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and I saw that Shelby also just message. She
Yeah.
actually got scratched down in
Yeah.
D3 also. Like
Yep.
she there was her and another lady. Both of them had gotten scratched. One was like right on her back, and it happened to go like underneath her bra also. And it
Mhm.
was a
Oh, yeah.
very long scratch, and another one had it on her leg.
that happens all the time. I mean, some people will say it's demonic, depending on the number of scratches or whatever it is. And I apologize for the noise, but I'm doing this through my kitchen, so some people are going to go get cookies right now.
You're good.
So, and then I don't know if it's demonic because you have 3 scratches or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, but if you know anything about prisons and you have, in a male prison, if you have the ones that are more like pardon the expression, bitches, they may get upset if somebody prettier comes in, they may just pick up on something about you and and do that to you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's really weird when you get scratched. I've gotten, I do live with a Cookie Monster, Freaky Geek. It's in chat. I haven't gotten the full, but I've gotten some marks.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm in the category, and we talked about this last night. I don't think that all scratches or hair pulls or touches or red marks are all negative. I feel like, maybe it's just them trying to get your attention, not
I agree.
meaning to hurt you, but maybe they're new and they don't know how hard to touch, or, who knows? I don't know.
Maybe they can't speak because they died. Maybe it was like a throat cancer or something like that, and they can't speak, so they're mute. Yeah.
Right. So Paranormal Paul got scratched at the Ray County Museum, and I don't believe that was in a negative way. I think they were just like, hey, trying to get his attention. I'm here type thing. So, and don't get me wrong. Are some of them vengeful? Yes, they are. But I don't think they all are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is why, just me, when I go into any type of situation, I'll tell you the protocol. I fill myself with love and light and this white golden light around me from God. I put a bubble around me, and it has a mirror on the outside. I can see out, but they can't see in. And then we say like so many different prayers.
Right.
Usually, if I go with my buddy Al, he'll anoint my head with oil, and then I'll scream it burns, just because that's what I do. It's burning, it's burning. He's like, would you stop already? Joking around. And then we sage everything before going in. And no matter who's with us, we're all there to say something like, praise God, bring your faith. And when we're done, we do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not, my added step at the night, doesn't matter what, and I've come in really, really late, like, 4:00 in the morning from an investigation, whatever. I leave a couple plastic bags by the door. I strip everything off, put them in the bags, and I tie it up totally. And then I shower myself.
Right back.
No problem. Wow. You're there right now. Run. Go to the light, Carol Ann. And then I shower because water is a natural cleanser, and I let that all go down the drain. There's certain protocols you should do before you do an investigation. That's just my 2 cents. Everybody has their own way of doing it. Danny, Brandy, Krista right now is being attacked by some kind of dog. So it's just, I just recommend it. I mean, even when you're doing shows like this, I had Lynn Monet on my show, and her initial foray into this was basically a demonic house. And I was the one that told her they did it on another show, the Michigan show. Let me tell you something. There was another person talking the week before about different type of demons, and things started going wonky and whatever. When you mention them, even in this space, and you give them energy, you will bring them out. So I always like to protect myself. I don't do it all the time, but if I know I'm going to have someone on who's going to be really intense, I'll probably say the Holy Saint Michael prayer,
Mhm.
and
what,
just
though?
say, protect yourself.
I have to say, and I apologize about that. My cousin mows my lawn, and he just rang on the doorbell to get paid. So,
Oh, no problem.
that dogs were going
Okay,
crazy.
so
But I have a
right.
question.
Okay, go ahead.
But I lost my train of thought. Really, Brandy? Okay, now I'm showing my age, guys.
It's the ghosted grays, I'm telling you.
It is. It's
Goes to
and
grace.
back to me. Go on, Brandy.
Okay, so my question to you is, do you think like if it's maybe a single scratch, do you think maybe that more it was not meant to be negative, or maybe the 3 scratches or the symbol scratches, or how deep they are? What would represent to you what would be on the demonic side?
You get the vibe right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
You get the vibe. I've said this to people that I go investigate with. If I'm not going in that house, I'm telling you, you shouldn't go in the house.
Yeah.
Some people like to do it. Some people like, I'm going to save the world, and they go in, Mr. or Mrs. Macho, or whatever the hell it is.
Mhm.
I'm not. I got to be honest. I could be I've did it. I took a lot for me to change my whole life and world and be a nicer, better person. I wasn't always a good person. Not say I was bad. I wasn't evil, but if you're not built to deal with something on that end, don't play with it.
Yeah.
There are
And real
certain
quick,
people that are built for that.
exactly.
And
I just want to answer Shelby's question really quick.
sure.
She says, crazy question, but we were told that if you walk out a door backwards when you leave, it confuses them so they don't follow you. I've heard that too. I've never practiced that myself, but I have heard that too. So I don't know if it works or not.
Oh, it's worked to get into a bar a couple of times that were packed. We walked in
go.
backwards to the front door, like, "Hey, thanks, we had a great time." And then the guy's like, "Wait a minute."
Wait a minute.
So
Okay.
this on my wrist right here, I
Mhm.
recommend this for all paranormal people. Get it on Etsy because you're supporting a small business owner. It's an iron or wrought iron bracelet.
Mhm.
And since the beginning of time, even The Exorcist, you'll notice this, they use irons on their wrist, specifically the left wrist, because the left wrist receives. And they put it on there so that you don't get possessed, you don't get taken over. So it's just a suggestion for you. Come on, we've been in situations where it's like, oh, this one's not playing around. You pick up on it and you're like, that one's not playing around.
Yep. You know
Like-
what? It just hit me. It just came back to me.
Sure.
So being at MSP, and I went, through all the different buildings, and I can usually pick out when like there's something negative, and I'm not saying that there wasn't nothing negative there, but it wasn't all that like where I got that really creepy negative feeling like when I've done like some really bad cases,
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know maybe if these, what supposedly the negative there, because I'm sure there is. I've heard a lot about negativity being there, but it just wasn't around me, or I didn't.
Maybe it just stayed away from you.
Yeah, I didn't experience any of that, because what I had was like, up in the women's prison, I heard a lady say hello, just as plain as day,
Yeah.
like so.
Yeah, I think it's also your attitude.
Yeah.
Like your energy, like all your energies are off the chart great.
Mm-hmm.
You've been doing this for so long. I mean, like, seen that, done that. I don't need, back up, ghost boy, or whatever. You know how to deal with it better. And when they see that in your aura, I believe I don't see auras all the time, but sometimes when you do on certain people, they just pop. You're like,
right.
You're sparkling right now. When they see your aura and they know that you're not effing around,
Right.
and I don't think any one of you is effing around, and most of the people that are on your team, they're like, okay, we're not going to get anywhere with these people, so let's go after their guests. And and you'll start picking up the weird stuff from the guests more so than anything else.
Right.
Because I've been in, I used to investigate with Al, and we go into a place, and what we do is we have similar equipment. He goes one way, I go the other way, and we are tracking. We've had this on almost every investigation. When him and I walk into the room, we have some kind of I guess it looks like a mob hit because we're big guys. We're coming in, and they just sense it. And these spirits that we were getting on our equipment are like, oh no, no, thank you. And they're running. And every time we would follow to a certain location, it would just run away from us. Where there's some people that they know they can take control over. You know,
Right.
Danny, you're trained in law enforcement. You have a certain personality that's
Right.
like, don't F with
Yeah.
me. And
And
they're not
I
going.
wonder, I know, Danny, you didn't have like your uniform on, but you had like the black armor, on Saturday. I wonder if they like might have recognized you as somebody in authority. Like, you know what I'm saying? Possibly.
That could be. I mean, there have been times where I've just been out running errands, and I just the way I stand or hold myself, some people can tell, oh, are you law enforcement or do you work for
Yeah.
the military? And I guess it's just how I hold myself from doing this for so long. So
I
that
gotta
could
be.
be.
Yeah. One of the weirdest things in my world is, and this has been for a long while, I don't know why I can't explain it, but I've walked into like CVS and some woman's like, I'm not doing anything, and runs out. I've sat down to meet my friends who are in law enforcement at a bar after work. I was working in banking. And the minute I sat down, the two guys next to me go 5-0 and they left. I must have some kind of. I asked, do I look like a cop? And a lot of people are like, yeah, you kind of carry yourself like you're not going to be messed with.
Right.
I don't know, but like I would be, like when you go into a prison in that end, I mean, you're all pretty, you're all beautiful. I'm really surprised that some of them aren't doing things underrated. I know I am. Thank you very much. But no, I don't mean this in a negative way, but I'm surprised that they're not trying to sexual assault you in some way.
Here's the thing though, Bryan, and we had a talk with this with Tex on one of the shows. And when I go to locations, like I'm not as nice as Brandy on a lot of things. That's putting it nicely. Like I'm more of a bitch, honestly, on certain things. And where she gets all these attachments, you know what I'm saying? But I go in there and I'm like, my God is bigger than you'll ever be, and don't F with me. Like that's my attitude.
That works.
When I'm driving there, that's what I say. Do my protection, the whole 9 yards. But my words are real. I mean them when I say them. So once again, it's the intention. But then we have poor Brandy here. Everywhere she freaking goes, and she could be a bee too. Don't let her fool you.
Well,
it's something. It's something.
But there's
you just like making friends.
Yeah, there we go. Why did they pick up on her? I don't know. I don't.
I can just say it now. She's pretty. I
Don't
want to
know.
go home. Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I mean, I am truly interested in what makes these things tick. That's my thing. I really want to see them. I really want to study them. I really want to watch them.
Right.
I was talking to you about the scratches. Now, in another class that I was teaching down there, there was a girl who had gotten scratched. And I mean, scratched so hard and deep that it didn't quite cause blood, but it went right through her bra.
Yeah.
It was probably about 7 inches long is what I want to call it. I got a picture of that. That just amazed me. She was just as sweet and nice and everything. And I couldn't understand that. But she was a pretty girl. So I'm like, well, I'm going to stick her down there to see what happens, because acquiring minds want to know what's going to happen.
I would have done that too.
And I did.
Yeah.
And she had volunteered too. I didn't take anybody who didn't want to go, or nobody who volunteered, If nobody volunteered at all, then I would have went down there. It's not a big deal. And then I say, okay, everybody watch what happens to me. Anyway, but this happened to her. Now, this is in the same exact hallway. We also had, I told you about the scream. We told you about the crawler. We told you about the scratch. Now, after our classes were all done and they were just roaming around investigating on their own, some ladies came back and asked me, hey, can you take me back down there?
Mm-hmm.
Now, while I was down there the first time with them, for some reason, I tried to get my bowl to sing and it wouldn't. It sounded like it was muted,
Ooh,
That's
like
weird.
it just wouldn't
like someone
play.
put a hand over it or something. Yeah.
Right. I tried it 3 times with her. Then I said, okay, let's try someone else. I got a man from the group, sat him down. My bowl would not sing at all.
Well,
That's weird.
you know that you may have people that or spirits there. I'm just going to call them people because people and spirits are the same. That they did their crime, but they're really not bad people, and they got caught and whatever.
Mhm.
And they know that if you keep doing that, the crap's going to fly off the handle. So they may have been like, or they can sense something in those people or yourself, like you're not prepared for this. I'm going to intervene on your behalf. It's interesting because everybody, we could all be a bitch or whatever, or pain in the ass, or not nice. But I think they know when when you're so inquisitive, Randy. Like like I do the same thing, but I make one thing clear: no one's going home with me. You're
Right.
not hitching a ride. I
Right.
don't want you stay the hell away from me. You stay in your space, and if you need help to be transitioned elsewhere, I'll be more than happy to help you. But no. And I think maybe you're a little bit too open on certain things, but it depends on the day. Like every time that other place, the Virginia or whatever it is, the institute, the military institute, you're in the basement. This thing, you're in the basement. You got to get out of the basement. Move up to the upper level.
I didn't choose that. That was not of my choosing. This one was not of my choosing. But after all of this stuff had happened, she asked me to go back down with her.
Right.
And I sat her in the chair. The bowl sang. It did everything that it was supposed to. And Danny was with me at this time.
Yeah.
And I kept seeing something move from the cell that was right across from her. And then I kept seeing something move from around the corner behind her, which that is just a dead end back there.
Right.
And so I kept seeing it. And I'm like, does anybody have a grid? And Maddie, who was with us, she said, yeah, I got one. She plops it out. We stick it right on her. So we're watching her. And as we could see the lights on the grid disappear as something would come out and then it would go back. And then as we were putting it on her, we were watching her shadow that was created from the grid behind her.
Okay.
And it started to morph. Now, I've got pictures where it was morphing, where it was blocking out different lights. And then the very last picture I took of her, it almost looked like there was a man standing behind her and not her.
So, Danny, did you see this too?
Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it started with like you would, see like the little dark shadow, and then all of a sudden, like at one point it was next to like where that corner is, standing behind there, like started getting skinnier and taller. And then all of a sudden you look behind and it's like getting darker and you see some of the lights getting knocked out and like blacked out. And when you really focused, like you could really see, like anytime she would move, you would be able to tell like what was their shadow. This one did not move, and it looked like it had a hat on.
The Hat Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she's got a picture of that.
Yeah.
Did you happen to get any of that, Brandy?
Yeah, I got it on my camera. Yes, I got it.
So we'll show it in a future podcast.
Yes, because like I said, it's like her shadow morphed from her sitting down to actually a man. It almost looked like, to me, it could have been standing up, but it looked like a man right behind her.
Well, we even had her move. Yeah, we had her move over, and
and then I made her get up and move. Yeah, I had her move.
So, you remember the movie Ghost?
Yes.
When the evil guys are getting it, the bad guy gets attacked, and all the evil spirits, they come out of shadows.
Yeah.
The darkness. I've seen what you're describing. It's the most buggiest thing in the world. Like, how is that happening? But there must be something to there must be something in the dark, the energy in the dark that the dark likes to use to, come up. When shadow people like Hat Man or whatever, they only come out when it's dark. Like you're in your room, you're sleeping, it's dark, there's no light there, and that's when they appear and they come in. There has to be some kind of energy force in the dark that's opposite of what's in the light. And I think maybe they use that, and what a great way to hide and sneak in. But it's really weird, these shadow people.
Yeah. So all in all, I mean, honestly, that night it was a pretty incredible night. I think a lot of people had a lot of different experiences and encounters, and, everybody from the attendees to, all of us souls, so
it's fun.
I never really made it out of the basement. That's all I can say.
So see, I went down there to the basement. Carmen and myself and MSP Paul and Kevin, we went down there to the basement, and we had like, I don't know, she had a lighted thing, and people walk by, that type of thing. Anyway, we couldn't get any responses, nothing down there.
I wasn't using,
and we were down there.
I wasn't using lights or electrical equipment or nothing down there. It was purely based on sound, and all we had was the grid light. That was it. We weren't using all this equipment that these people had brung because nobody was really getting anything down there with it. Yeah. But when you stop, you turn all that stuff off, like Krista, like you do all the time, use your body, use your senses, look and see what's happening. There was a lot going on.
So the one time that I used equipment.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? Another thing is, I know, Brent, you work like weird hours. When you go on these investigations, how tired are you?
Usually I'm not. Usually I will give myself time to rest and before I even go, even if it's to take it like an hour and a half nap or something like that before I go somewhere. Yes, that I do that. Because
sometimes they see that in your energy field when you worked, and there's been many, and we had an individual that we were supposed to do a house that was haunted, and he came there and he's like, I don't think I should go in. And they're like, why? He goes, can I talk privately? Sure. He wanted to kill himself. And I said, you're not going anywhere into this house. And people are goading him. I'm like, no, you're not going in. And I wouldn't let him in. And I stayed with him because you are a beautiful target to get jumped and, a friend to come home with you. And then your life is really bad. So, but I also have people that are extremely exhausted, that have low energy, they're tired, and that's what you worry about. But if you're doing something to counteract that, maybe your inquisitiveness is just like, I want to know what makes you tick, and that's almost like an invite to saying, hey, I'm going to attach myself to you now. Click.
Well, I think it's because I'm so in awe of what's happening. That maybe my light is bright, like super bright, and they see that. It's like, boom, hey, she's there. Boom.
She's willing. She's willing to answer the question.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the most times that I have the problem is not when I go investigating. It's hardly ever when I go investigating. It is when I'm doing my everyday normal things and I'm absent-minded. I don't have my the wall up or the gate up or whatever you want to call it. It's more or less, okay, so I got to go to work, and yes, I got to do this. I got to go have this meeting today, and I got to worry about this, and I got to pay the bills. And, once I get into the everyday things and get drowned by that, it's not like I'm sad or anything. It's just like I get sidetracked on life, then that's when I get in trouble.
Yeah, it's a window of opportunity.
Yeah, it sure is.
It's what life is the biggest downer in the planet. If life was so good, everybody would be living it. But
because here I am now. I'm driving to Missouri State's Penitentiary, and I've got like 40 minutes of highway, and then I've got over 3 hours of 2-lane road, twisty, windy through, the woods, up the hills, down the hills,
Yep.
And it's kind of desolate out there. There's times where I can't get my GPS, my phone won't work. So you ride in silence pretty much the whole entire time. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm driving to there and I'm just having a good old time. And, Krista and I had talked on the phone when we could, because we do that when we drive a lot. We're driving to meet, we'll talk on the way there.
Yeah.
But, I was just not talking to her at the time. And then all of a sudden I got a smell and it was very strange. And this has happened to me before where it was a different smell, but this one was like of sawdust, like a fire burning in an old cabin, all wrapped up into one when I'm driving through these back roads going out there.
Well, I'm going to just generically assume that you, Krista, Danny, and a lot of people on your team, if you're doing this, most people that are doing this are more heightened and more intuitive.
Mhm.
And whether like I didn't go wake up one day and say, "Hey, I want to be a psychic."
Right.
I just the only thing I ever ask psychics is, why am I my guardian angels drink and what are the lottery numbers? That's the only two answers I want.
That's what I
right.
just want. The last one. That's
Yeah.
all I want.
Exactly.
Right.
So what do they drink? Lottery numbers. But but it's like, because you're heightened, some people aren't aware, like, my stomach hurts, or it'll be something like that. You may be so open because you're very intuitive and you're not really utilizing it in the right way, that it's like a revolving door, or lazy Susan, as they said. Something comes in and says, "Oh, this one's nice," and then they bring a scent to you. It's really cool when you get scents, though. Like, I was going through something a couple of months, like 2 months ago, and I was sitting in my backyard. And yes, I smoked. I'm trying to stop, but that's a different story. But I wasn't smoking cigars. No one smokes cigars. My next door neighbor, on both sides, nobody's a smoker. And I'm sitting there and I was thinking about my dad. Like, it was a moment where, like, I really wish my dad was here to kind of help me out, or whatever it was. And that man who looked like Pavarotti and Lou Albano combined, he smoked cigars 24/7. And I smelled the cigar and I knew he was there.
Right.
So the scary thing is, the psychic for our group, who's in Arkansas, who's a great psychic, Cindy Bailey Dove. I never asked her for anything too. She goes, "Your dad's here. He's talking to me when he died." And she's going through it. And I'm like, And she's like, "Well, damn it. Am I right?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah. Spot on." But she tells me my father is my guardian angel. And I'm like, "Can I get a different one, please?" Because he wasn't very focused, initially. So you want a different one. No offense, Dad. But I want someone different. Bring in the lefty, instead.
Right.
But I love I love that stuff to a certain degree, because you're picking up on the energy. It was there. And the sawdust, like, that road could have went through something where someone was, building his home, and you're picking up on that energy. It's kind of cool. It's better than anything rotten flesh or sulfur. That's when you have a problem.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was just something that caught me, and I'm in the middle of nowhere. There's no houses around.
Yep.
No.
I think Danny has something to say.
Yeah, I actually have to get going. I have to go back to work.
Dang it.
But thank you guys so much for having me. I
Pleasure to
really
meet
do
you.
appreciate
Absolutely.
this.
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
Yep.
I really enjoyed it.
Safe
Yeah.
tour.
I'll talk to you guys.
Be careful.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
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 That's a
So
real.
I mean, because I have never really, I guess, had that sense where to smell that
Right.
that thing, where you could just smell something, and I realize that's one of the clairs. I get it, but I never had it, never did. And then over the last couple years, I think it's because of Krista, that I'm developing new things. With my body, just things that I'm sensing, and that's pretty cool. I mean, this is only the second time that it's happened to me outside of being in a building, where you smell that cigar or you smell that perfume or the flowers, or this is the second time being outside.
Yeah, what's interesting, I wasn't here for the original Blondes and Booze, and when there was the 3 and whatever, but you guys got there's a great vibe and feel between the both of you. I know you guys are wonderful, and sometimes in your friendship, each friend brings out something in the other friend, whether they know it or not. And once you these gifts coming from Krista, and because I know Krista has she's got stuff going on, like gift wise. It's like anything else. It's like, remember lifting 2 pounds, right? And then you do it for a month, then you go to 5 pounds. And then after a while, that muscle begets another muscle. Once you start using it, and I think light workers are being tapped by, I'm not kidding. You're here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. And you're going to start getting all that stuff. I never really followed the Clairs.
Right.
I know some people like I got Claire audio, Claire that, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I happen to, like you, Brandy, I happened upon things by trial and error or accident.
Yeah.
I remember coming in, I was thinking of a friend of mine who passed away. I'm like, man, Rob, I hope you're okay. I really miss you, bro. And I heard him, yeah, I'm good. How you doing? And I'm like, okay, I just said that in my head. And it's like, no, you didn't. I heard him. And I'm like, holy crap. So I had a little bit of a conversation. Then I asked somebody about it. And the person I asked goes, oh my God, that's Claire audio. I said, I don't know who Claire is, but she can have her fucking audio. It's unnerving. Now I don't have to hear it. I can actually, it's really weird. When you're talking to somebody and their dead relative comes and I can see them and I can hear them. And I'm like the intermediary between the two. And I'm spot on. And I'm a science guy for the most part. I want to, like, am I seeing this? But when you describe someone who you've never met and they go, oh my God, yeah, that's him. And I'm like, okay. Right. So I've stopped questioning it. I just said, okay, bring it on. Right. But again, bring me the lottery numbers.
Give me something
I'll do really. I promise I will do good with it.
Yeah, exactly. Please bring me something good.
Yeah, something. Please. Yeah. Awesome. But yeah, I think it's great that you're doing that. When you're outside, do you guys do outside like cryptid investigations like Bigfoot? You go out to I don't know, Texas, like Dogman Ranch, and and you're hanging out, and you get you get senses there too, or tingles, or that's when you, like, initially it started with me, like we're on investigation. If I started getting goose pimples, it was getting real. And it was kind of like, whoa, we have something going on right now. And the coolest thing in the world is some spirits are just passing through the night, like spirits in the night. And when they pass through and you feel it go like a tinkle that goes from your right side all the way over your left, you're just like, oh my God. I actually, when you were at the other place and I was telling Paul about that and his family was there, I saw them, but this was the first time ever that I got the emotion, the love of, I was overwhelmed with, like, I almost started to tear. I felt that love. That
was a pretty incredible experience Paul had with that God's helmet, because a lot of people really have like
crappy ones
encounters. Really, really crappy.
They're not prepared for that. That's why I wanted him to, like, Paul, breathe in, breathe out, because I knew something was going to happen. And then I saw the older guy, and then I knew they were father or son or grandfather, great grand. That was incredible.
That was pretty cool.
It was just, I mean, even for me, the only other time I did that, there's a place in, Waynesboro, called the Haunted Hoover House. It's run by Steve and Pam Barry. And they do the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash that I'm going to raise money for a 5-star family and people that need money. It's a big paranormal thing, the end of July, but I stayed at the house and I know it was haunted, but I didn't tell anybody in my house it was haunted. And we did the tipping table thing. And I did it because my dad passed away, but also my other half's mom passed away. And I thought maybe, she could get a message from her. And long story short, she did. And this table tips, no one's moving it. And you can say things in your head and it'll answer the questions, and you could try to trick it. Like, you
Mhm.
remember the blue car we had? If it doesn't, you didn't, it won't move. But at one point, her mother and her uncle were fighting to get through the table. So her mother relinquished to the uncle. Here's the rub on that. That was her father's brother who died as a baby in Hungary at the hands of the Nazis. He has been stuck in the ether for almost 80 years
Wow.
at the time. And one of the guys there, Jim Warwick, who's amazing, you should have him on. He's an amazing gentleman.
Hook us up.
They literally, hey, what's going on, Rob? They literally put him into the light. They got him into the light. And I wasn't at the table, and I saw this guy. It's really interesting. He looked like Tesla. There's a picture of Tesla with a mustache, but a better looking gentleman. And he walked into the light, and he looked like he was 30 years old.
Wow.
And he said, thank you. And I watched the light come in, and he walked in, and it was over. I was sitting there and like standing there going, holy S, did this just happen?
Right.
And I have to wrap my head around certain things too. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, but everybody's like, what's it like? I'm like, well, when we do a CE5, right? Or I like to call them active intelligent encounters, and I bring in a UFO. Let me tell you something. I'm impressed, and I'm like, holy crap, that's a UFO. Even as an investigator, when you get a voice, ITC, that's pretty damn cool.
Right. Real quick, I want to answer a question. Somebody
Sure.
in chat asked what the God's helmet was. So a friend of ours, it was actually a friend of ours has it. She had it made, and it's a helmet. It's like a big, I don't know what you call it, just a big helmet, and it's got lights that flash that are going crazy. And then you have you basically, the lights have you go into like a meditative state.
Yeah, it's
And
different
then-
theta waves and alpha
Yes.
waves and beta.
Yeah. So people see different things. Some people see ghosts. Some people, I see that Greg Ogles, Mr. Moist, is in chat. When he wore it, he's seen an alien.
Yep.
So I know of other people that seen aliens. So it's our friend Paranormal Paul actually had a really good encounter with his. He's seen his past loved ones, and he's one of the few. The only one I know that's had like really, really positive.
He also, remember I said he was going to see an extraterrestrial. He goes, there's a big extraterrestrial in the back at the corner where I said.
Yep.
And I said, you're probably going to see an extraterrestrial. And sure enough, he was a tall gray that came in. I saw him. He peeked in like, who the hell are you crazy people? And he walked out.
Right.
But
so,
a lot of people don't have a good time,
Yeah, if you come to the Crossing Realms conference and you go to the ghost hunt, Terry Mosby is our friend that has that God's helmet, and she's running the ghost hunt part of our event, and her team, and she will have it. So
I'll tell you, that night I was just like, I'm bored. I don't normally watch TV and I'm like, oh,
that was pretty cool. Yeah,
you guys are on, and it just started boom, 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 and I said, you know what? I said, I apologize. Sorry for taking up the chat.
Yeah, I think we were on Rob's show or something, wasn't it?
It was Rob's show.
Yeah.
And Brandy was there. You came upstairs, and I started asking questions about the pregnant woman in the alcove in the basement, and that's where I mentioned the woman that killed herself. Did so because she got pregnant by the priest, and that's why the priest is. It was just, I couldn't even believe it. It was just boom, 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 and I was like, all right, whatever. This is how life is. Go for it. you know.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. So I don't know. It's just had some crazy times with that.
There is a good question. I'm going to back up to it. I'm looking at my chat here.
Yeah.
Lil Patty asked, Bryan, is there a difference between the ether and limbo and being in the veil?
So I personally believe you have earth right here. You have heaven here. Hell's below. But in between each is a layer of what we would call, Ron Murphy would call it the Goblin universe. I would call it the ether. And in there, it can be in limbo, because what happens is depending on how you pass, if it's sudden or an accident, you wake up and you don't realize you're dead, and you're like, why is it so dark in here? And then you see this beam of light going back and forth. You're like, I'm not going near that. So you stay away from it, and you purposely lock yourself in there. There's no instruction manuals. So that's where you become limbo in there. And then, so it's kind of like both to do that. And then usually, it's always with accidents or something sudden. You need somebody to help you move into the light. And then don't be afraid of it. Go. Every time I say go into the light, I just think of the little lady in Boulder guys.
Right.
Go in the light, Carol Ann. And that wasn't a good idea. But that's where you can be in limbo,
Right.
and you can make a choice. If you're ever in that room and you see all this darkness, and then you see a beam of light or something golden, you're like, do I go near it? You don't know what it is. Just go near it, and you'll be fine. That otherwise you're going to be stuck there and like Patrick Swayze, and it's basically what it is. It's you get stuck at a certain point because you really want to be there with your loved ones, and you kind of can see them, but they can't see or hear you. It gets really screwy.
So what do you think? We talked some about pale crawlers. What do you think a skinwalker really is?
Oh, I think a skinwalker is just like the Native American law. It's not a medicine man. It's a person who does something so horrific. It's basically black magic. And what they do is it's like them selling their soul based on actions they have to take. And some of it I cannot mention on air what they have to do. You'll be shut down because that's how barbaric it is. It's horrifying. And they do it to a lot of family members. It involves death and unaliving and whatever. And then at that point, it's kind of like the agreement. And then they are able to morph and shape shift. And they, it's very similar to Wendigos.
Yeah. So on a skin, maybe I'm confusing the two. A skinwalker, don't you have to like unalive somebody else? Yes.
You have to do like, what is it, necromancy? You have to have like sexual relations with your relative. Yeah. And sometimes it involves the innocence, which is a key. That's why it's children. It's really, really messed up. But that's what they believe. It's the Ute and the Navajo, I believe it is. It's not necessarily, you become this entity that exists. Is more than one. It's not like there's one skinwalker. It's like, I got to go to Chicago this week. It doesn't work that way. It's people who go into this path.
Yeah.
A lot of times, and they can be transformed into anything. They can transform into animals.
Right.
I'm talking about like crows, eagles. Great thing is the Navajo. There's a special police in the Navajo Nation. They used to have a show, and they've shown it on video. They were chasing a skinwalker that came into the village, and they got it cornered in an area, and it was behind some rocks. You could see the eyes, and it was a human. You could see like there was an appendage, and it was a human being behind that rock. And they said, we're going to go up. And the next thing you know, what popped out from behind the rock was a huge wolf-like animal. It looked at them, and then it ran over the hill. And when they ran up, it was gone. So it transformed into the wolf.
Wow.
They can also, because they can take on human form, a lot of the times the way you tell if someone may be a skinwalker, they smell like rotting flesh.
Yeah. So
that's the story. Most people like keep the skinwalker. And they have to feed sometimes on human flesh.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's the famous skinwalker issue was a bunch of years back from Canada.
Yeah.
There was a Greyhound bus leaving. A guy who looked indigenous got on the bus. Everybody said he smelled awful. Some said smelled like rotting flesh. He was mumbling and twitching. Went to the back of the Greyhound bus.
Yeah.
bugging out, and he unalived somebody. He cut his head off.
Yeah.
He was surrounded by the Mounties.
Oh, wow.
I think about 2 years. Yeah, he was eating it, whatever. But about 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, he was up for parole.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, in Canada.
Did
I don't think
they
he
let him
got
out?
it. No, I don't believe he did.
Good.
There's some, here's the problem in this world. When we get into Western philosophy, we think we're God's gift to the planet. We're not. There's a lot of stuff. You think it's hocus pocus and fairy tales, and it comes from someplace. It comes from an experience.
Right. There's a
So
couple
be careful.
questions here.
Yeah, I'm good to whatever you want.
Okay, I asked that one already. Here, Mike asks, Bryan, have you ever heard of Toad Road, aka the Seven Gates of Hell? What do you think is going on there? What people are experiencing?
It sounds familiar, Toad Road and the Seven Gates of Hell. I think the seven. I mean, I remember. I'm thinking more of the underground burning fire in Pennsylvania on one of the roadways, and I definitely have something flying around my house. I don't know what it is. You may see orbs in the video. I'm not kidding. I have like Grand Central Station in this place. I'm not. It's really rough, but if that's what it is, I think it's actually an underground fire, and it was started by accident. Once you start burning like tire rubber, it doesn't go out.
Well, it's Centralia. It's Centralia, and what had happened is they had coal mines underneath there, which a fire had started, and they never stopped, and the whole town basically moved. Which, if anyone didn't know, stupid information that I know is that's where the video game Silent Hill came from.
Yep.
It all started from that. So
you can walk in there. You can still walk it, but the ground is so soft because of the fire and the heat. You'll never put it out. The only way to put it out is you don't want that option because we'd all be underwater.
Exactly. I mean that may happen. I mean, according to what scientists are saying, it may happen.
Yeah. I mean, you guys may be pretty good where you are.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm right by the Mississippi. I'm underwater.
Oh yeah, me too. And if you look at the map where I moved to Florida, it's just under Okeechobee. Yes. And I'm like, getting. I need scuba gear.
Me too. I
may have to move to like Tennessee or some other state.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I live in a landlocked state. Wait, hold up.
It's just. I've been saying it before. I'm in New York City and I don't want to be here. I have to sell an apartment, and I predicted a significant quake this summer, and I really hope I'm wrong.
No kidding.
I beg that I'm wrong because it's not built for that type of stuff. But I will collect the insurance money if it does happen.
Right.
It saves me a whole bunch of problems.
I figure if something like that happened, I know Krista will probably have riverfront property.
Yes.
I'll be out in a boat somewhere, but yeah, she'll have riverfront property. You'll probably be underneath the water scuba diving.
Randy, what's the houseboat for? Just wait.
It's coming. Just wait.
You don't have to take that boat out. That's because it's my ark, people. It's my ark.
That's my ark. It's coming.
Okay, there's another question here, and we can all answer this, I guess. Shelby Dorgan asked, thoughts on Skinwalker Ranch?
Oh, I think there's a huge portal there, and there's a whole bunch of variables there. That there is Skinwalkers there, and it's a curse, but against the Utes, it's a whole indigenous person conflict, and they curse them. And when they curse them, they send it that way. Usually, it happens. There are Skinwalkers there, but then you also have the ley lines going through it. An energy vortex that appear. I think you have stuff going on down below, underground.
I do too.
And I'm one of these people that believes that there are multiple layers to the inner earth and multiple different beings living on it. Just from my research. So it's like the perfect combination of holy shit, I know a couple of people that know Brandon. Frugal and Fugal, and I'm trying to get to that ranch just to see themselves. I actually have something, and I may be able to show it when you guys come on. There are other Skinwalker ranches. There's one in Nevada that has a lot more extraterrestrial based stuff in there. They appear. And in upstate New York, I got contacted by a woman who has a huge property, and it's very much like Skinwalker Ranch. Strange animals, strange vortexes, all this stuff. She sent me these videos of her, barn with the tractor, and in the tractor you see a tall gray just kind of peek out at a distance, and she goes, "You got to tell him to leave." I'm like, I don't have that kind of juice, ma'am. I can't just say, hey, boys, you got to leave now.
I could not agree with you more about being other Skinwalker Ranch type places. Like,
oh yeah,
like you said, Bradshaw Ranch, somebody mentioned in chat. Yep. That's another one. We have Marley Woods right here in Missouri. That is just as crazy. And I know, Stardust Ranch, Tracy says. Also, even like the meadows over in northern Georgia, where like Greg Ogles and all of them all go to, like that's just crazy. There's so many places around that.
And Kristen, I think we've stumbled upon something else, which is Emmaus Asylum, which we have been to several times. We're running across many different things. It's not just paranormal. We're talking cryptid. It could be alien. We're catching all kinds of stuff out there. And this is
doorways, right?
Yeah, this is all fairly new.
Yeah.
This place hasn't been investigated for long at all, and it's only been by our team.
Yeah, there's a lot of portals throughout the world that these beings use to come in and out of. It's just energy it's just the way, if you look at the grid on the planet, something I use to explain a lot of it is the magnetic fields that are within certain areas.
Right.
And if you look at certain areas that have high Bigfoot sightings or paranormal based sightings, you'll see that the magnetic field is off the chart.
Yeah.
That adds to the frequency. And then, that's where I would say, if you're going to these places, bring the Geiger counter, because if you start getting the radiation, you may not get it in the room. You may walk through 3 rooms and be like, oh, this is crazy. And then all of a sudden you walk back through, something happens, something weird. And then you'll get the sound. That may be them opening up a portal. And you're like, something just came in. It gives you a way to be prepared for whatever is coming. Some of them are not nice. There's tons of stories about they were digging. They do a lot of DUMBs, deep underground military bases. And when they were digging at one point, they came upon an area, and there were gray there, and they had, I think it's the Battle for Los Angeles, where they had it, and these grays were fighting with humans. It was nasty. Like people were being eviscerated by the weaponry of these beings, and they didn't want to be found. So they were doing what they were doing. So it's crazy. There's a place in there's another portal place this one I may be going to actually either before or after the Crossing Realms conference. Get your tickets on Eventbrite. And it has portals on there. There's also a spot in the Panhandle. If you know about Inky, these are the ant people that were drawn and went underground. Well, there's supposedly the entrance to the underground, and if you go down there, you'll meet the ant people. And one is named Inky. So that could be interesting. That's a fun first date. What do you want to do tonight? How about an exorcism? Okay.
We had the other night I did Rob's show with him, and we had a guy on that he was talking about how the paranormal ruined 2 of his dates.
Which state? Ohio and Pennsylvania? Am I close?
I don't remember offhand, but it was just kind of like, wow, stay away from the paranormal if you're going out on a date.
Well, I mean, that could be bad.
I was on Rob's show the other night, but it was pretty crazy. So let me see if I got all the questions here. I think I did. Yeah, and back on Skinwalker Ranch too, like I totally believe that place is legit. Like there's too many things that happen there. And I don't know, like Brandy and I, we met Thomas Winterton, the farm manager, and we
Yeah.
had him on the show. And I think like he had that head, that growth or whatever in his head and stuff.
That's
Part of that. Like that's all legit stuff.
oh, it is. It's from intense microwave,
Yeah.
again, radioactive based.
Right.
It's not necessarily attack. It could be whatever they have hovering over the property has a defensive mechanism to it.
Yeah.
And it's so far beyond our comprehension. But what's interesting is the military still flies around there and checks in on them. I think they know what the hell's there. And they know that it's so sophisticated. These people, doesn't matter how much money Brandon has to invest in it and the show wants to put into it. They're never going to discover the real problems there. But, you come up against a defensive, like an alarm system, you can get hurt. This is the same thing as the Havana syndrome where people are bombarded with microwaves. And then they get, they lose their speech, and it gets crazy, some of the weaponry.
Yeah.
And I could have asked Danny that, but they have this technology that they reverse engineered from craft recovered, and it's picture a flashlight, and they can no bigger than the top of that, or or the bottom of it, or whatever, and it could be bigger. It can be made bigger, more powerful.
Right.
It has these LEDs in it that switch multiple frequencies every split second, and they've used it. It's a non-lethal weapon. It can be lethal if they overdo it, but if you could run at it and they'll turn it on, you'll stop immediately. You feel like your whole body's on fire. They've tested it on a charging rhino, and the charging rhino went down. It's all light.
Right.
So imagine the cool stuff they have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Pretty crazy. Crazy stuff, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. We are going to have a good time at our conference, though, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
It's going to be a good time. So
I'm trying to figure out what song I want to sing in karaoke, but whatever, we'll figure it out.
That's at the secret party.
Yeah.
I know.
was gonna say it's at the secret party, Texas secret party.
Texas
So that's
secret
Thursday
party.
night. And then Friday is the meet and greet, and then the dinner, and let's see, Martin Groves will be speaking, Miguel from Sasquatch Theory will, and then Chris Garitano is going to show his film on Friday night. And then Saturday we have everybody else, including you, Bryan.
Yep.
I'll be there.
Yeah, what are you going to talk about? Do you know yet?
I think you guys mentioned something about Dogman, but
That works because
I could do Dogman. I have some footage of that. I've got some new footage that I'm going to put in there of a dog woman with child.
Okay.
So we'll show that video.
Yeah,
and we'll
That'd be
discuss.
awesome.
Yep,
And then the free hugs. That's what I'm doing. Maybe readings. I don't know, but we'll figure that out.
There you go. Well, we actually have Mary Lynn Bass too. She's going to be there, and she's going to do gallery readings at the end.
Yeah.
Then
That's cool.
We have the ghost hunt at the Ray County Museum. That's Saturday night, but it is sold out. But for those that bought tickets, it's going to be a good time. So
I want to see Rob with a God helmet.
I'm worried about Rob doing the God helmet. To be honest with you, he sees some.
We'll give him a couple of crosses.
Stuff in his life,
I know, but we'll give him some crosses, and we'll put some sugar or salt in his pocket, and maybe have him hold a porterhouse.
Well, I do have to say, I've used one before, not Terry's, but I've used one before, and they are not for everyone.
No.
Ooh,
They're not.
no.
No, it is a very, I don't know, intense piece of equipment, and that I think that you need to watch who you let use it. It's just not one of those things that anybody can use. It is not that at all.
Yeah.
I would tell people, if you want to play around with something that'll help you out, and go with the Gateway tapes and just start doing disc 1. They're on YouTube. You can find them, and it's a method, and you do it with headphones, it starts out 45-minute session, 45, then it gets to like 32 and whatever.
Mhm.
You will have an experience very reminiscent of the God helmet, but it's going to be a bit more less intense. And then you go do the God helmet, you'll be able to handle it better.
Yeah,
'Cause I
if
don't
you're
think Paul was ready for what he had, but
yeah, if and also if you're prone to seizures, this is
yeah,
nothing
do
you
not
can
use this helmet.
Yeah, this is nothing you can use. No.
Not a good idea,
Nope.
whatsoever.
Nope.
Right.
But
It's
Sign the waiver.
will be there, so people can at least check it out. And I'm sure somebody will end up doing it. I'm sure Dan Klein will be there. He'll do it. He likes to do it. So
he likes to do
Yeah.
it. But Terry, I tell you this, Terry Mosby is the one you need to pay attention to when she does it. That's the one session you need to sit in on and just listen to her talk, because she will talk you through everything in detail on what's going on. She is amazing. So if you get the chance, sit in with her and watch her do this.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So with that being said, we appreciate everybody tuning in. I will not be on tomorrow night. It will be Brandy and whoever. I
Nobody
haven't
likes me.
There's not even a show created yet, so it's up to her what or who she wants to talk to or about.
Nobody likes me. It's like talking to myself.
You had a couple volunteers, so it's.
I did.
I would volunteer. I would help you out, but I'm not even going to. There's a funeral I have to go to for a brother, so I'm going to be in funeral mode at that point, which wasn't prepared for, but it's you never are. But
that's right. I think BMR and Randy Gilbert are going to help me out.
Yeah, it's about you always help out him. Why doesn't he help out you? Yeah, I'm calling you out, Rob.
He does quite a bit. He does help us out quite a bit. But yeah, I think they're going to be on, and I do not know what our discussion is going to be at this time. And there's Donny. Donny's going to hop on tomorrow.
Donny made a video for me that was insane. It was insane. Oh, I was not prepared, but it was great. Yeah.
Have you seen the memes he's been making for Tex?
Yeah, no, he did a whole song about me and him, and there was. You just gotta. I was just like some of the chat GBT things. Okay, pretty cool. Some of them I don't look like me, but I thought it was great. I've never had that done. I've written many a song for a girl, but never had somebody do an opener show for me. Thanks, Donny.
That's Donny. That's Donny. Yeah. Absolutely.
And real quick too, before we let go, there's a couple people that need some unspoken prayers, and one is Mickey in chat, and the other one is our good friend Monica. So
so
some
prayers, healing, recovery, blessings sent to all.
Yep, we appreciate it all. So anyway, until tomorrow night, it'll be well over a week or so before I see y'all, but y'all see Brandy tomorrow night, and whoever decides to show up with her. So
let's hope somebody shows up. Okay.
Yes. And real quick, thank you, Bryan.
My pleasure.
You, Josh. Thank you, Haunted Souls, Mike Bothwell, Two Shadows, Joe Pops. Thank you all very much. So with that being said, we will see everybody, or Brandy will see everybody tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central.
Yep. See y'all.
That'd be great.
Good night.
This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks. With an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.